Shout out to Milk Bar TV. Make sure you guys check out his channel, his great content. Go over and subscribe if you're enjoying the content he's putting out. We saw an interview he did with Treehouse early up this week, I think, and it was absolutely amazing. Hopefully, they can post the full interview up because I would love to see the whole interview. If you guys have the entire interview somewhere, please send it to me and we'll check it out. But in the meantime, this is his new video he posted yesterday, and I just love Milk Bar TV. So we're gonna check this out. This is did Candace Owens implicate Erika Kirk in Charlie Kirk's assassination? Because you know this has been a hot topic because Ben Shapiro confronted Megyn Kelly, who's absolutely scared of Candace Owens, as if she has no spine. Megyn Kelly, you're a coward. You literally denied knowing this heifer, and that you two weren't friends, that you don't watch her show, and that you don't take in that type of content. You literally lied back to back to back to back. You lied more about knowing Candace Owens than Peter denying Jesus himself. Let that sink in for a moment. Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Megyn Kelly made 4 statements, and I'm not trying to compare Candace to Jesus at all. But the fact that they claim to be Christians and you're sitting here willing to lie that easily is disturbing to me. So, all right, shout out to Milk Bar. Let's get to it.
Realizing that nothing in Charlie's life was real. It's just something that keeps me up at night. Just nothing in his life was real. Like everyone's just like, oh, let's just move on. It's so crazy to want to figure out what happened. Let's just start issuing gag orders. And the way to honor him is to give money. I don't know. There's just something really sick and demonic about the entire thing.
It's looking to me like the apparent plan.
Does she not understand how gag orders work? Candace, you didn't even read the indictment. So I know you did not read that protection order or the pretrial pretrial and trial publicity order. Let me help you out because we went over the motion to amend. You would have to be a witness in order for that order to remotely apply to you. And you would have to be identified as a witness by either the prosecution or the defense. You don't get to just invoke yourself into it. But my challenge to you is, if you do want to be held by this order, then we can alert the prosecution, the state, to go ahead and file a motion for contempt and just get that on out the way. Because Lord knows you violated it. So either you want the punishment that comes with you being held by this order, or you need to stop invoking yourself in the order altogether and read it. Get your attorneys to read and explain it to you because you don't understand how law works either.
Was to assassinate Charlie Kirk, who had at long last faltered on the pro-Israel cause. Okay, his words, not mine. And then to stage a hostile takeover of his brand and of his legacy.
Turning Point USA, the conservative grassroots organization co-founded by Kirk, announcing his widow Erika will take over as the group's CEO.
There's 2 things happening here. There's a widow, and then there is the chairman and the CEO, and she has assumed that role, okay? So criticisms pertaining to anything at Turning Point USA that are being directed at Erika are fair. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving. But I'm starting to think that the assassination...
Y'all hear that? No exceptions to any of this. No exceptions to it. Shout out to all those coming in. Make sure you hit that like button coming in. We're checking out Milk Bar TV as he debunks Candace. Because, you know, she doesn't know how to give exceptions to these statements she's made, where she's implicating everyone in Turning Point USA, and then wants to conveniently forget that the CEO of Turning Point USA is now Erika Kirk. How can you separate her from the company when she is the CEO of the company, Candace Owens? Nothing you do makes sense. You lack logic. And it has the audacity to talk about I've been around. that can have many meanings. Okay. You saying I've been around could have many, many meanings to that. It's rumored that you've been around Andrew Tate in ways you should not have been. You want us to take that and run with it? We can now, girl. But you might want to be careful what you say when you talk about you've been around. What does that mean? What's going on, y'all 2.0? How you doing, honey? She asked me what's going on. She said criticizing Erika is fair. Oh, yeah. She said you got to be able to. She even said when she was reacting to the interview Erika Kirk did with Jesse Waters, oh, see, here's where you have to draw the line between being the CEO and being a widow. Why should she have to draw the line between the two? Why can't you just stop lying about what's going on with Turning Point and stop insinuating everyone at Turning Point except her leaks? Except her leaks have something to do with Charlie Kirk's death. And if she wasn't getting the leaks, then everyone would be implicated. See, this is what the Goonie Goons over there at Turning Point that are sending Candace and Owens information. This is what you got to remember. The moment you stop doing it, she will come after you. There's no loyalty amongst thieves and liars. So why feed the monkeys in the zoo in the first place if you know at some point it's going to catch up to you? Stop giving her information. You feel something is going wrong, legally or ethically speaking, become a whistleblower. But you don't owe Candace Owens any information. And the moment you don't do what she wants you to do, she's going to turn on you. And then she's going to immediately blame you. And then she's going to dox. And then she's going to send all the candy ass cult followers out there to come and cyber harass and cyber bully you until kingdom come. All because you stopped giving her information when you should have never done that in the first place. She could only be mad at the cameraman, but for so much because he did the right thing. He gave over the footage to the FBI. That's how it works. Candace is not above the rule of law. So all this information that she's alleging that's being leaked out of Turning Point should have gone to the FBI. And if they needed protection, if they felt like they were reporting something that could come back on them, they could have said, I need to report this as a whistleblower. We have laws in place for a reason. But no, these thunkheads want to sit here and feed her information that she takes and twists out. And then wants to sit here and say that Erika Kirk has to learn the difference in between being a CEO and a widow. Soulless and
USA that are being directed at Erika are fair. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet.
Let me go back.
Okay.
As the group's CEO.
There's two things happening here. There's a widow, and then there is the chairman and the CEO, and she has assumed that role. Okay. So criticisms pertaining to anything at Turning Point USA that are being directed at Erika are fair. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving. But I'm starting to think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would.
Yeah. Who the king married and became the queen. Candace, I don't care what you claim to be. Masonry, whatever term you want to use. You are not the CEO. And that is something we can all be happy about. You're not the CEO of Turning Point. And you only worked there for 2 years. Why are you obsessing over it this bad? You're trying to destroy this man's company and legacy that he would not in a million years leave to you over his wife. You don't prioritize yourself in someone's life where you're prioritizing yourself over his own wife. After God, then his wife will come first. You're at the bottom of that totem pole, girl. Then he had 2 kids, two parents, siblings, friends. There are a whole lot of people that will go above you. What is the matter with you? This is what she's doing. She's trying to destroy Turning Point USA. And she's using people on the inside, these so-called leaks, to do it. Because the moment they stop cooperating with her, then she's going to turn on them too. Turning Point needs to stop doing this. It doesn't get you anywhere. If you're going to do things right, do it the right way. Go be a whistleblower. But this is insane. Let me go back a little bit, because you just can't make this up.
And of his legacy.
Turning Point USA, the conservative grassroots organization co-founded by Kirk, announcing his widow Erika will take over as the group's CEO.
There's two things happening here. There's a widow, and then there is the chairman and the CEO, and she has assumed that role. Okay, so criticisms pertaining to anything at Turning Point USA that are being directed at Erika are fair. Yeah, I'm putting the fire here right at the feet of Turning Point because I am disgusted. I am genuinely disgusted. I am looking around and wondering.
Candace, that means that all the defamation lawsuits coming your way is fair too, because you make provable false statements with a reckless disregard of the truth. And yet you want to throw a tantrum or issue copyright strikes because someone used your video against you, or because you don't like the lawsuit because of reasons. You don't like criticism. You don't even read comments that ask you questions anymore because you know that you can't tell the truth to save your life. Where is the evidence to prove that you have 2 degrees? Because I'm just going to keep bringing that up every time I do a live about you. Every time I do a live show about Candace Owens, I'm going to say, where is the evidence to prove you have 2 degrees? You weren't even prepared to answer that simple question. And it didn't involve you having to talk about Turning Point USA. This is where we are in life, where Candace Owens has built a huge following and a platform based upon lies and accusations that have been hurtful, harmful, and damaging to others. You're stepping on people's backs to get to the top. But as fast as you've risen up that thing on ladder, your fall will be faster and land even harder. God don't like ugly.
Whether Charlie's entire life was the Truman Show. None of you guys are behaving in the way that you should be behaving. But I'm starting to think that the assassination of Charlie Kirk was something akin to a regicide, right? The assassination of a king to install a new ruler who the king would have never approved of.
He left me a
Why would he not
blueprint
approve of his wife?
and all of his journals, but more so than that, I was his vault for literally everything. He shared everything with me, his vision, his dreams.
In the event of his untimely death, like, you know, in the third notebook, he was like, oh, and if I accidentally get shot on campus, here's what you should do. Call Erika. And then after you call Erika, come find this notebook. And in this notebook, you'll see that I am using adjectives like fantastic and heroic to describe Mikey McCoy.
My husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy.
Why are you doing that?
Why are you having an issue with that? You don't work there, Candace. You don't get to dictate how anyone describes someone. It's called free speech, you heifer. Free speech and expression. What's wrong with her calling one of her employees amazing? You don't have to like him. Don't nobody care what you think over there, girl. Erika Kirk wanted to call him amazing. And in her eyes, he's amazing. So what? But see, this is the thing. All this hostility you have about someone describing, you know, this young man who's like, what, 24, 25? Not even that. To be amazing when you don't know him. It's mighty funny. But when criticism comes your way, you want to cry like a petulant child in the candy store that can't get her favorite lollipop. And you got 4 kids. The audacity of you to act like a spoiled brat, Candace Owens. You're a brat. You're not entitled to have this much criticism when you have not worked for Turning Point in years. And you only worked there for 2 years. 2 years. I can't recall a job I had 10 years ago that I only worked at for 2 years. That I'm still sitting here obsessing over like this. Are you kidding me? What the hell is wrong with her? Yeah, you all remember that video of her flailing her arms around, praying with Paula White. You can't make this
Why do
up.
I feel like you're trying to program me? And if during this process of our imagination, common sense comes on and we're like, but wait, Charlie, wasn't he like a boy genius? He's a pretty bright kid. Wouldn't he have maybe formalized that succession plan outside of like a diary? Maybe call one of his many lawyers?
No.
Maybe...
It's called the living will. And yes, that will be kept with the lawyers. Why would the diary take precedence over a living will that is notarized and oftentimes filed with an attorney? You don't think he had a living will and that his attorneys had a copy of it? Is it impossible for her to think that he may have given his company to his wife? Why's she finding that hard to believe? Oh, yeah, that's right. Candace, you're not his wife, girl. You were not his wife. He did not pick you.
Formalize it in a will, because that's what you're supposed to do if you are thinking about dying and you need to make a plan. You make a will. I'm sure he had a will.
Yeah.
But no, he wanted to put it in these notebooks.
You can't say for sure. Where's the evidence to prove he didn't have one? Obviously, she has some level of evidence documentation to prove he did not have a living will. She's saying, but no, as if she knows for a fact that he did not have a living will. You can't make this up. Look how easy it is for her to lie.
Supposed to do if you are thinking about dying and you need to make a plan, you make a will. I'm sure he had a will, but no, he wanted to put it in these notebooks. And then the plan was to guilt us, I think, to try to haunt us with the ghost of Charlie's notebooks that we're never going to be allowed to read, but we're supposed to.
No, you don't deserve, you're not entitled to reading them. And this is coming from the woman that claims that she sees the dead spirit of Charlie Kirk in her visions, where he's telling her everything except who shot him, simply because she doesn't believe that Tyler Robinson pulled the trigger. So somehow he's going to come into her vision and say, avenge me, and not tell her who shot him. And then you want to sit here and say he didn't have a will, he just put it in these notebooks? You're saying that as a point of fact. Why would you not arbitrarily assume that he had a living will and he had the money to actually have an attorney on retainment? Even if he didn't have it with an attorney, you can get a living will completed and done, notarized, and those that are named in it, that you've named as a successor or someone who will be over the estate regarding all your finances, your companies, everything else. And you can just give a copy of that to that person. So what if his wife had a copy of the living will? This is why Erika Kirk does not respond to her, because Candace Owens says stupid things that makes no sense. His wife would know if her husband did a living will, and she would not be privileged to know that. You can't even get that. That's not public information. His living will would not be public information either. She is demanding to see things that she's not entitled to see. You're not privy to see that, Candace. Just like his medical records or the autopsy report or evidence from the FBI, you're not privy to see those things.
To accept that they most definitely read, like for sure. That's what it feels like. I am told that these people believe the official narrative. Lone shooter. No one else involved, just a crazy guy with too many pronouns in his bio.
To have seen the autopsy report, to have seen the different...
There you go right there. To have seen the autopsy report. See, Candace, that is the benefit to her being his wife. You think she wants to talk about her husband's autopsy report? She would rather her husband be alive. But only she would have access to that information because she was his wife. You were not. You really think she wants to be sitting here giving an interview talking about her husband in the past tense? Candace has no soul. And yet you're flailing around praying to some foreign god with Paula White in her church. You can't make that up.
evidence portions that have been collected. I trust our team.
Hey, 1963 called and they want their narrative back. All that's missing from the story is a grassy knoll, right? Just need the grassy knoll.
She's disgusting.
Anyways, back at headquarters, I am told it's business as usual. And it's kind of giving me like, I don't know, LBJ when it gets sworn in that famous picture.
She has 0 degrees. Exactly.
Unfortunately, sworn in. Unfortunately, of course, he's sad in this photo. Gosh, he's obviously not wanting to be the president of the United States. JFK was shot and killed. And now LBJ has to step up, unfortunately.
Why would he not want to be? He ran as the vice president, you dingus. What do you mean? He would not want to be under those circumstances, but he understood being the vice president involves you becoming the president in the event the president passes away. And yet you're sitting here sending these types of posts talking about they all betrayed him. You didn't ever say one time except Erika Kirk. You're not even friends with her. You won't even invite her on your show. And yet you want to get upset because someone's stating all the statements you've made, all the posts you put out there will have the reason, the average reasonable viewer and reader of all these posts deduce that you are insinuating that Erika Kirk is involved in the murder of her husband. Because, Candace, if we put this to a jury in a civil proceeding, the burden would be a preponderance of the evidence. They would only need to be 51% convincing. How do you think that would turn out for you? You brainless moron. How do you think that will turn out for you? And yes, I'm calling her names because this is absurd. She's already insinuated all Christians now involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Why you flailing around in Paula White's church?
But I gotta be honest, I wasn't there. I don't think LBJ was actually that upset. I don't know why. Vibes. The vibes just aren't vibing for me in that picture. But maybe he was.
God.
Maybe the truth is that LBJ simply,
she's so dumb.
Use an expression, had his wits about him. It becomes clearer and clearer. It just screams at me that this was an inside job, okay?
They wit? Y'all.
Some motivation for Zion.
Can we give a shout out to MILKBARTV for putting that video together? He is absolutely epic and awesome. Shout out to you, MILKBARTV. I mean, just genius work. And I love the montages because it pulls in various videos and clips together, plus some of her posts and all of that, where she can't deny that if that video was put in front of a jury, well, she could deny it because she's a liar. But if you were to put that video in front of a jury, the majority of the people on that jury would assume and conclude that she is insinuating Erika Kirk to be involved. When you're speaking in these broad terms, accusing Turning Point USA, saying how, this was done, like, for him to give a successor, he didn't have a living will, as if she would know that. All these dumb things she's saying, none of it has any evidence to support it. And for whatever she wants to consider speculatory, it lacks logic and common sense. But the majority of the jury would come out and conclude, you're insinuating Erika Kirk to be involved in the murder of her husband. Period. You can't look at a montage, like a video like that, and then say you're not sure. When she never excludes Erika Kirk anytime she bashes Turning Point USA, knowing that she's not a CEO. You can't make this up.